You're listening to 15 Minutes, where we feature community leaders sharing what the rest of us should know but likely don't. Hi, Chad Franzen here, one of the hosts of Share Your Voice, where we talk with top-notch law firms and lawyers about what it takes to grow a successful law practice. This episode is brought to you by Gladiator Law Marketing, delivering tailor-made services to help you accomplish your objectives and maximize your growth potential. To have a successful marketing campaign and make sure you're getting the best ROI, your firm needs to have a better website and better content. Gladiator Law Marketing uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and decades of experience to outperform the competition. To learn more, go to gladiatorlawmarketing.com, where you can schedule a free marketing consultation. As a single mom of 4 kids, Michelle Etchebarren started a nationwide appearance attorney company. Attorneys in Motion has worked with more than 8,000 attorneys across the country. Since then, she launched Law Beez, a lawyer marketplace that provides vetted contact attorney services to law firms across the country. Michelle, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
Thank you for having me. Again, privileged and honored to have been invited to speak today. So
Yeah, hey,
I'm doing
great to have you.
fantastic. Thank you.
Good to hear. Great to have you. Hey, as before we get into both of your businesses that you've launched, Attorneys in Motion and Law Beez, just kind of tell me a little bit about your background leading up to the first one.
Yeah, I mean it's a long and interesting background. I started off working in a law firm as just filing stuff, and then ended up managing that law firm within a year. And law firm was growing very big, very fast. Somewhere in that, I spotted this opportunity in the form of a baby attorney who just got her license, and she was I just saw that she was wasting her potential there. And so I was like, hey, why don't you start your own law firm? I know you don't want to do anything with business, but so I'll do all the business stuff. I will help you build and grow this law firm. And so we did. I mean, within 2 years, we had like very limited resources, or she did. And I mean, she was on billboards within, 2 years doing radio, because we finally attained the money to put into really expensive advertising. But that all stemmed from, learning and failing and all of the business process that it takes to build a law firm. So I have these legal service companies, but it's not because I didn't just decide to open up a legal service company one day. I've been there. I've been in the trenches of growing a law firm, and I know what it takes to run a lean firm and grow and thrive and scale.
Sure. Sounds good. So let's talk about the first one. I believe it was Attorneys in Motion. I know that it was kind of maybe developed or inspired by a frustration of searching for special appearance attorneys. Can you kind of expand on that? What inspired you to create a more efficient and capable service?
That's exactly what inspired me. Frustration. I mean, there were other companies around that have been around for decades before I started Attorneys in Motion. However, none of them were using technology that was available to them. It wasn't my only inspiration. My main inspiration was I need to build something for myself so that I can, so that my kids aren't raising themselves at home. Again, for mom of 4 kids. So they were my main inspiration, and Attorneys in Motion was the opportunity within that inspiration. So I knew I could, or I was hoping it was, I either make this work or I die because I need to support my kids.
So how does Attorneys in Motion work then?
Yeah, so it works like Uber. And I started having it developed by web developers in like 2013, right when Uber was also, they were still, I think, doing TCP/IP. It wasn't just like everybody could drive around. It was really new. And I'd been introduced to that app, and like, it was like, ding, ding, light bulb. You can totally build this. You can match attorneys that practice a certain type of law to attorneys that work in those courthouses, and they'll all get this notification. It'll work just like Uber. So it's that easy. It's that user friendly, and it's very quick.
How are they? So I know the drivers for Uber are independent contractors. How are the attorneys that you work with affiliated um with you and attorneys in motion?
They're all independent contractors. Same thing.
Okay.
It works just like it's crazy to me because an attorney will schedule coverage for an appearance, and like sometimes within 30 seconds, an attorney's already agreed to go to court for them. And not just on continuances, sometimes, substantive motions and, bench trials and things of that nature.
So it sounds like attorneys in motion is beneficial for attorneys who need somebody who has a specific practice that, if they want to like not have somebody as a full-time employee, but they want to have an independent contractor, they could go through you, but it could also be beneficial for an attorney looking for work. Is that, am I
Oh
summarizing
yeah,
it up
yeah,
correctly?
absolutely, both sides. I mean, and there's always time conflicts, right?
Hmm.
So you have, 2, 5, 15 court hearings on a day. You can't be everywhere at once. I mean, it's changed a lot since COVID. A lot of it's virtual now. So, yeah, I mean, it's more of scheduling conflicts, I think, than anything that pushes out the need for appearance attorneys.
Hmm.
Or on the East Coast, they call them per diem attorneys. So I learned that early on in the game. Two
All
different
right.
names.
So in what ways would you say attorneys in motion differentiates itself from other per diem attorney companies? And how do you ensure a higher level of efficiency and capability?
Well, number one, we were the first ones to use technology in the way that technology is being used for appearance attorney companies now. After we did it, a couple of other companies followed suit. So I can't say we were the first. Absolutely, 100%. I was just telling someone the other day that asked what sets you guys apart. Well, it's my company, and I take things very personally. Um, it's not just my, you know, the way that people look or think about me, my ego, to say, it's I actually care about this company. And my staff are involved and they are talking to our clients, are talking to our appearance attorneys. And, if anything doesn't go perfectly as planned, we're right there to do what we need and correct whatever error an attorney might have made. Doesn't happen often. Thankfully, it does not happen often.
Hmm. Uh, I know that you have a quality control team that ensures that appearance attorneys are specially matched to particular types of cases. How do you guys kind of go about doing that?
Um, it's easy. Once one say in one of our appearance attorney slash per diem attorneys signs up, they go in and they select the types of law that they practice and their location, and it matches it. It matches it up with what our client puts in on their side when they're scheduling an appearance.
Oh,
So it
gotcha.
just automatically matches the two up.
Sounds good. Let's talk a little
And
bit
then we
now
send
about
like millions of reminders. So no one's forgetting about anything. Everybody's getting like 2 emails a day until the hearing's over.
in your experience, have you found that that is particularly important when dealing with attorneys?
Um, when you say that, are you referring to?
The sending out all those reminders, maybe when you
Oh
started,
yeah,
you sent out less.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we have safety nets in place for anything that might happen.
Mhm.
Um, so early on in the game, we realized very quickly that more communication was needed, and so we set it up to where there are lots of notifications and emails going out.
With regard, yeah, sure. With regard to attorneys in motion, what is maybe a challenge or a lesson that you've learned kind of along the way? Obviously, sending out, you know, messages or reminders is a big one. Uh, Along the way that has helped make it what it is today.
um, the biggest challenge, I think, is in the instructions that our clients provide to our attorneys, and the challenges in getting them to be much more detailed in what they want out of the attorney. Because they're not if they're leaving things up to assumption, like, oh, I wanted you to pick up discovery at the same time you were at the courthouse, doing this arraignment, and you don't say you wanted them to pick up discovery, they're probably not going to. And they assume that they're going to, but just small little details like that you don't want to leave things up to assumption. So I think, yeah, that's probably been our biggest challenges
Sure, sure. So
is
as I
getting
mentioned in
other
your
people to be more detailed.
yeah, yeah, I could see that. So as I mentioned in your intro, you also founded Law Beez. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that is?
Absolutely. And it's something I'm really excited about and I wanted to do before COVID hit, but I didn't. Business was just flowing with attorneys in motion. However, when COVID struck us all of the courthouses closed down. So we went from being a very busy company to not being busy at all. Um, and that really opened up the opportunity for me to start creating Law Beez, for all those busy bees out there. And if I'm not using bee puns, I'm just not doing my job right. Right.
Very nice.
So it gave me, yeah. And, there's always that need for outsourcing the legal writing aspect. Since COVID, more and more law firms have leaned out their staff members. They've got rid of a lot of their associates and they're switching to outsourcing. So it made sense. And again, I've been in the trenches growing a law firm before. So I know what it's like to have those really busy months and you're like, yeah, we're making so much money, right? But then the slow months hit and you're like, holy crap, all that money we made has to pay for all of the payroll and employee taxes and stuff for the slow months of the people we have hired. And we're not, we're kind of in the red. So those profits are going, they're not really profits. And so that's one of the reasons also why I wanted to do Law Beez, because, I know what it's like to try to grow a law firm. And I think it's one of, especially for smaller firms, solo attorneys, it's a good way for them to scale their business is, rather than hiring. And again, back in attorneys, or when I was helping that attorney grow her law firm, at first we thought success equaled more employees, but success, it's not because you have more employees. I mean, you could be very successful and run a very lean firm as long as you have the right processes in place.
So obviously, I noticed you have a user base of over 8,000 attorneys nationwide. So you gained significant traction. Obviously, people are agreeing with you.
I think so. And they're coming to see it more and more every day. Absolutely.
What strategies did you use in order to kind of communicate that that using freelancers is good and maintaining a lean firm is can be good business?
I'm still working on that strategy. The most I can do is help educate attorneys on, what does success really, what is number one, what does success mean to you? Um, you know, is your law firm running you or are you running your law firm? That's a big, huge, I mean, that's a question that attorneys need to really stop and ask themselves. And a lot of times their law firm's running them, and it's because they don't have the right processes in place. So the thing that brings me the greatest happiness is seeing other people succeed. So if I can help educate in any way, I've grown a couple of businesses pretty successfully. And I failed horribly also at the same time. So I do know a thing or two on what it takes. So if, the more I do like things like podcasts like this, or I get up and I speak somewhere, or just having conversations with attorneys, and it really helps them realize that if they do want, time freedom, more money, more fulfillment, they need to, maybe try outsourcing.
Have you always considered, you founded two businesses, at least that I'm aware of. Have you always considered yourself to be kind of an entrepreneur, or did you just is this just kind of the path you went down at that time?
It happened out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always, looking back, being a bartender and a server at first Denny's and then the Outback Steak. I moved up to Outback Steakhouse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always kind of took on a leadership role just accidentally. I guess it was just in my nature. And so I guess in a way, without realizing, you know, it just ended up being that I'm creative enough to start a business, and I have the courage enough to do it. So yeah, I
Yeah.
guess I just fell into being an entrepreneur.
Hey, good for you. So, as you talked about it, and as I mentioned when I introduced you, that you are a single mother of four kids. You managed to build two businesses, maybe using limited resources. What advice would you have for maybe aspiring entrepreneurs, especially those who have similar constraints or other things going on in life?
I love that question. Number one, don't fall into like perfection paralysis, which is if I don't do this, if I don't get everything right, then it's just not, perfection paralysis is when you end up not doing the thing that you need to do because you're afraid it's not going to be perfect. So don't fall into that. Like nothing, perfection's an illusion. So you're going to fail a lot, and it's going to be really scary, and there's going to be a lot of very discouraging moments. But surround yourself with the right people, get a mentor, build relationships. Relationships are so important in like growing a business, and getting out there and networking, and just, getting people to know who you are and having them learn to trust you, and you have to be your just authentic self if you really want to get there, and you know, have processes in place. You have to have a business process for every part of your law firm, not just like one process. Like have good case management software, have a good accounting process, have a good intake process. There's all these processes, and if you don't streamline them, you'll fail for sure.
You talked about how failure has been a little bit a part of your experience, and I'm sure all entrepreneurs, all people experience failure. What have you
Hmm.
done during that time, or what was kind of your attitude where you kind of had to remind yourself that this failure isn't fatal?
Um, I mean, my biggest failure was during COVID when
Mm.
attorneys in motion went from being very busy and lucrative to losing millions and millions of dollars. That was really that was really hard. But I remember a long time ago I told myself, if I ever lose millions of dollars, that means I was really successful and I can do it again. So it, during that time, I was working on getting a new website developed, and I was working on myself because self mastery is so important if you're going to have a business. If you don't have the psychology, then the mechanics of it don't line up, and you just don't make it out the gate, or you fall on your face and you got to go work for someone else. So self mastery, personal development, so important, and that's what I did. I really worked on myself a lot, and my business, the new business.
I have one more question for you, but first, tell me how people can find out more about both Attorneys in Motion and Law Beez.
You can always go to our website, www.lawbeez with a z.com, because we wanted to make it a little fun. Everybody takes themselves too seriously. So let's have a little fun with law too.
There you go.
And then, or www.attorneysinmotion.com for our court appearance coverage website. You can also email me, Michelle with two L's at attorneysinmotion.com. And I mean, feel free to reach out. I love talking to people, educating, learning from them as well. So yeah.
So, last question for you. Your tremendous experience with both Attorneys in Motion and Law Beez. How do you kind of envision the future of legal services, particularly in terms of innovation and adapting to the evolving needs of the legal community?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, the future is bright. I think. I think attorneys should use some AI in their work. I mean, if you want to at least shorten the time that it takes to put something together, get a nice skeleton built, use a little bit of AI. It's the future, and I think you should use it. We're not using it on our website because we don't need AI on our website. But that's not to say, like in the future, we might not incorporate AI in some way or form, but
Mhm.
I see a lot of success in the future for the legal world. It's not going away. People are like, oh, AI is going to take the legal world away. No, it's not. It's not going anywhere.
That's good. Good to know. Hey, Michelle, it's been great to talk to you. Normally we talk with attorneys, but it's been a pleasure to hear about your experience and the things that you're involved with, and that you've done on your own. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and again, privilege and honor to be a non-attorney on your podcast.
Absolutely. Well, great to have you. So long, everybody. Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.